maybe I should be better to working class people, because one day a working class person might actually save my life from a maniac shooter.
Disrupted.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. So, folks, it looks like we got another Luigi Mangione tale on our front. Another CEO gunned down, this time Wesley LePatner, a 44-year-old Blackstone executive who oversaw its $53 billion real estate investment fund, was killed in Manhattan's mass shooting. So there was a big kerfuffle, a big mass shooting incident that happened in New York City in the Manhattan district, and the assailant went into this building that housed Blackstone on top of many other investment firms and opened fire. And of course, one of the victims was this 44-year-old executive who oversaw this real estate investment deal. Blackstone is one of the big, giant companies, the monopolies that are buying up a lot of these rental properties. So people have a lot of say, just like they did with Brian Thompson of United Health. People have a lot to say about this woman in particular. So that's her there from Fortune magazine. It says Monday's mass shooting in Midtown Manhattan claimed the life of Wesley LePatner, a 44-year-old executive at Blackstone, the company confirmed Tuesday morning. LePatner was among 4 victims killed at 345 Park Avenue when a lone gunman stormed the office building, which also serves as the headquarters of the National Football League and features other business clients such as KPMG. The shooter has been identified by police as a 27-year-old Shane Tomrin of Las Vegas. Did I say it? LePatner served as Blackstone's global head of Core Plus Real Estate and chief executive officer of Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust, a property fund with a $53 billion net asset value and a $275 billion market capitalization. So, again, a lot of people have mixed reactions to this story, much like they're going to have mixed reactions when they had, when it was Brian Thompson. And I get that, yes, murder is bad. I don't want this upon anybody. But I am not going to cover up the just absolute grotesqueness of a company like Blackstone and what they've done to renting, what they've done to apartment buildings, what they've done to the entire real estate market, just turning it on its head. Just the ghoulishness of a corporation like this. I'm not going to whitewash that away because their top CEO was pronounced dead. That goes without saying. So, LePatner family provided a statement to Fortune saying, "We cannot properly express the grief we feel upon the sudden and tragic loss of Wesley. She was the most loving wife, mother, daughter, sister, and relative who enriched our lives in every way imaginable. The family noted that she was beloved, loyal, and caring friend to many others and a driven and extraordinary talent, professional, and colleague." The family offered its condolences to those who have lost their lives also, as for privacy, blah, blah, blah. So, just a little background to this. LePatner joined Blackstone in 2014 after more than a decade with Goldman Sachs and was credited with driving the firm's real estate ventures to new heights. A Yale graduate, LePatner served on the boards of organizations including the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Abraham Joshua Heschel School, the UJA Federation of New York City, and Yale University Library Council, according to her Blackstone biography page. She is survived by a husband who she met on the first day of freshman year at Yale, according to blah, blah, blah. She has 2 children. New York Representative Richie Torres posted on social media that LePatner represented the very best of New York, calling her a distinguished professional. He honored her sense of civics as a... Oh, I guess it cut off there. That's not me. That's Fortune. That's a misprint there. She left a lasting impact whenever she went. As a senior executive of Blackstone, a devoted conglomerate and synagogue. So authorities say the shooter acted alone and had a history of mental health issues. Investigators recovered a note when Tamrua raged against the NFL, claiming to suffer from chronic traumatic how do you say that? Encephalopathy, a neurodegenerative disease associated with head injuries with contact sports. While Tamara played football in high school, there's no evidence he played professionally or was ever diagnosed with CTE. Words cannot express the devastation we feel. Wesley was a beloved mother, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So they're claiming that the shooter didn't intentionally go after Blackstone, that they're actually going after the NFL. That's a little twist there, that they're commemorating the executive of Blackstone, which we know is a heinous corporation for the real estate market and for renters in particular. But the shooter himself was actually targeting the NFL. And you notice how there's no, immediate publications. There's no articles coming out to their defense. I find that interesting. I find that very interesting. So here's kind of a breakdown of what happens. Is breaking rifle-toting NYC shooter critically injures 3, including a cop, before turning the gun on himself inside Blackstone NFL headquarters. At least one police officer was shot at the scene and is in critical condition. 2 civilians were also struck by gunfire, one of which is also in critical condition. So on the left there, you can see that is what they describe the shooter. That's the assailant there walking into the building. And here's some video file from local news about the guy entering in and self-inflicting himself. Watch. You can see people rushing out, cops are going in. So that's a bit of it there. But going back to Blackstone, again, I feel bad that she died. Obviously, death is saddening. It's heartbreaking. You don't wish that upon anybody. It doesn't mask up. It doesn't cover up. And it shouldn't be whitewashing the hideous notions of this company in particular. So Wall Street Ace points out Blackstone executive Wesley LePatner killed in the Manhattan, New York shooting. Blackstone hasn't just been buying up all the single family homes in America. They've quietly been buying up all medical device companies too. Blackstone, so he's going to describe in this video here of how this private equity firm that buys up all these single dwelling homes, turning them into outlets for rentals and destroying home ownership, destroying the real estate market. They're also quietly buying up medical suppliers, companies that work in creating medical devices. They're quietly buying up those corporations. So this is a giant monopoly. This is a private equity firm, much like United Health firm was. United Healthcare Insurance is private equity. They didn't really care about insuring people. They don't really care about actually giving people proper treatment, which is why so many people, when Brian Thompson was shot by Luigi Mangione, had more sympathy for Luigi Mangione than they did the CEO. And here's kind of a similar instance even though the shooter was actually targeting the NFL. So that's kind of funny that they didn't write any articles about it. But here's Blackstone and their latest move before this incident came out.
Everyone's favorite private equity firm, Blackstone, who owns all the single-family homes throughout the United States, is now buying up medical equipment companies. The companies that supply everything we need from defibrillators to syringes during things like pandemics. And not only did they buy this company, they bought it with the company's money in the largest leverage buyout in decades at $34 billion, of which they're going to saddle this company with every dollar, while 7 to 8 people make out the back door with billions 5 to 10 years from now and leave us in a worse spot in the healthcare industry in America. The fact that private equity now owns us from cradle to grave in every single way, shape, or form it's astonishing. And we have to commit to not spending our dollars where private equity is purchased. And I don't care whether that's a hospital chain they bought or whether that's a cemetery chain they purchased. We have got to start spending our dollars not in these places. Peace.
So, a private equity firm that's bragging about billions of dollars they made off the backs of turning single-family homes, turning them into rentals, buying up the properties, buying up land that makes it nearly impossible for an average family in America to actually be a homeowner or to purchase property in the United States without going through the hurdles of Blackstone, is now buying up medical devices. So this is the heinous parts of these corporations. This is why I could feel sad that this woman died, but it's not going to cover up. I'm not going to let go of the heinousness of a private firm like Blackstone. The same way I'm not going to, have an emotional, cover up to all the wrongdoings that United Health has been doing. And this is why a lot of people get frustrated. A lot of people get angered. A lot of people have sympathy, sadly, with the person that unfortunately shot that person. Because of stuff like this, because of the malfeasance, because of just how sinister, how the criminals that they claim that are cracking down every day are actually the ones that are running the worlds. While they're pulling people out of Walmarts and Home Depot and cracking down on the illegal migrants that are stealing your jobs, these firms are the ones that are actually destroying America. These are the firms that are complicit in destroying your livelihood from birth to death. These are the sinister people that should be cracked down. Where's there ever going to be an ICE raid to crack down on these private equity firms that are involved in trafficking people to exploit migrants for cheap labor? Because we know that they do that. We know that they do that. So when is the ICE raids going to walk into Wall Street and crack down on these people? But it's okay to drag an employee out of Walmart because, oh my God, they're brown, they came from a different country, and they're just looking to survive? How dare they? How dare they? This is what's so sinister. This is what's so sinister. And the unfortunate murder of a CEO is not going to cover any of this up. And it shouldn't cover this up. And here's another kind of funny kicker to this story is a DoorDash driver. His quick alert saves Blackstone employee from lobby shooter. So a DoorDasher who was at the building, I guess somebody ordered food at whatever headquarters, whether it was Blackstone or NFL or KGMP, whatever the case may be. It's amazing that a service worker was actually able to, be the benefit of these greedy SOB CEOs. That at a time of need, the service person, the working class person, is actually able to step up and help save these people. And yet, these are the same corporations, private equity firms, that are deliberately cracking down on someone in the service industry like this driver. These are the private equity firms are the ones that are cramping down on people who work at DoorDash, who work at Uber, and telling them that they just got to buckle down, that they can't unionize, that Uber's allowed to do whatever they want. They could deactivate your account if you go to fill up your gas tank, or stop in on your house to make sure your children are okay, or pick your kids up from school. They can deactivate your account because the private equity firms bought the rights to do that, to control these people. And yet, you have a DoorDash driver that saved your life. Do you think that employee is going to look at the driver and say, hey, this guy, yeah, he's, delivering pizzas and Chinese food in New York, whatever, but he did save my life. Maybe I should, return the favor and allow for DoorDash drivers, to get better wages. Maybe I shouldn't buy up the ability to terminate accounts for, unjust reasons. Maybe I should be better to working class people, because one day a working class person might actually save my life from a maniac shooter. You would think that would be the case. I would hope that would be the case, but you're dealing with sinister people. You're dealing with the sinister, most heinous, immoral people who work in these industries, who work in this kind of area. It's known that anyone that goes into this direction, you're pretty much selling out your soul. The same people that, say about politics. The people that go in to think that they're going to, help their fellow man and do the right thing, and we're going to change things around for this country. You've already pretty much sold off your soul the minute you walked into the office. The minute you walk in there, you have lobbyists, you have dark money, you have entities, you have party politics, you have partisan hacks, you have everything breathing down your throats. And you have to serve them as much as possible, or else they will completely wipe you out. So anyone that thinks that they're doing good in these, in Blackstone or politics, or working at these heinous corporations down on Wall Street and the lower Manhattan scale, you really, really, really need to do some soul searching. You really need to find, if you have your soul, look deep down to think that, am I doing the right thing that a working class DoorDash driver, who may or may not be a migrant, that's another thing. The DoorDash driver could be an immigrant who's just trying to make by. So, do you think that's going to change their attitudes towards them? Do you think it's going to change and maybe look at, maybe actually serving people for the benefits, and then they wouldn't get such a bad rep, and then people wouldn't be posting videos laughing about Blackstone CEO being murdered? That's what they should have done with United Health, but they're just making the situation worse. Hey, here at Kitz Corner, we want to thank you, our viewers and our subscribers that tune into Kitz Corner for the latest dives in trending news, political conspiracies, and the craziest of stories. However, being in this business isn't an easy job. Because we're independent, we can dive into stories that the mainstream outlets are afraid to do so. But unfortunately, that doesn't give us the luxury of big advertising or government subsidies. That's why we reach out to you. You can support Kitz Corner and get some cool new threads in the process. Say what? That's right, check out our merch store, where we have a big selection of t-shirts, mugs, stickers, sweaters, bags, and more. All with interesting designs too, like this True North Strong and Free. So if you want to show off your support, go to our website at kitzcorner.net. That's kitzcorner.net. And click the store link at the top of the screen. Or you can scan the QR code provided on screen to get instant access to our merch store. Your support makes a huge difference at what we do here. So why not wear your support too? So go to kitzcorner.net or scan the QR code on your screen to get to our one-of-a-kind Kitz Corner merchandise store. Thank you.